Chapter 21, The Queen's Last Words. We know when we last left off that Roscoe was hanging from the chandelier and lost his grip and landed in the Queen's soup. The Queen loved soup. She loved soup more than anything in the world, well, except for Princess P and the King. And because the Queen loved it, soup was served in the castle at every banquet, every lunch, every dinner. Oh, what soup it was. Cook loved and admired the Queen, and her palate moved the broth that the cook concocted, from the level of mere food to art. On this particular day, for this particular banquet, Cook had outdone herself. Does the cook have a name?
No.
The author is calling the cook, Cook. The soup was a masterwork, a delicate mingling of chicken, watercress, and garlic. Roscoe, as he surfaced from the bottom of the Queen's bowl, could not help but take a few appreciative sips. Lovely, he said, distracted for a moment. Delightful. See! Shouted the P. See! She stood and pointed her finger right at Roscoe. It was a rat. I told you it was a rat. He was hanging from the chandelier and now he's in Mama's soup. The musicians stopped playing their guitar. The jugglers stopped juggling. The people stopped eating. The Queen looked at Roscoe. Roscoe looked at the Queen. Reader, in the spirit of honesty, I must utter a difficult and unsavory truth. Rats are not beautiful creatures. They are not even cute. They are really rather nasty beasts, particularly if one happens to appear in the bowl of soup with pieces of watercress hanging on his whiskers. There was a long moment of silence, and then Roscoe said to the Queen, "I beg your pardon." In response, the Queen flung her spoon in the air and made an incredible noise, a noise that in no way was worthy of a queen. It was a noise somewhere between a neigh of a horse and a squeal of a pig, a noise that sounded something like neigh. And then she said, "There's a rat in my soup." The Queen was a simple soul, and her whole life had done nothing except state the obvious. She died as she lived. "There is a rat in my soup," were the last words the Queen uttered. She clutched her chest and fell over backward. Her royal chair hit the floor with a thump, and the banquet hall exploded. Spoons were dropped. Chairs were flung. "Save her!" thundered the King. "You must save her!" All the King's men tried to rescue the Queen. Roscoe climbed out of the bowl of soup. He felt under the circumstances it was best if he left. As he crawled across the tablecloth, he remembered the words of the prisoner in the dungeon. His regret that he did not look back. So Roscoe turned and looked back. He saw the princess was glaring at him. Her eyes were filled with disgust and anger. "Go back to the dungeon," was the look she gave him. "Go back to the darkness where you belong." This look, reader, it broke Roscoe's heart. Do you think that rats do not have hearts? Wrong. All living things have a heart, and the heart of any living thing can be broken. If the rat had not looked over his shoulders, perhaps his heart would not have been broken. And then I would not have a story to tell. But reader, he did.